Hello everyone, I'm Luke and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm bringing you a belated movie review for a film that I got to see on Christmas Day, and that is The Greatest Showman. I finally got to see it, and I have to tell you that it was a truly magical and spectacular experience at the movie theater. I saw it in an almost sold-out crowd, and everybody just erupted in applause the second that the movie ended. It was so fantastic. And I have to say that with this new trend of modern movie musicals that are getting made that are not based on pre-existing stage material, I am excited to see how the movie musical genre keeps moving forward. But needless to say, while I did thoroughly enjoy myself, and I highly recommend that if you are a die-hard musical theater fan, you should see this movie, the movie is not without its flaws, and I have my notes right over here. And the first major thing I want to talk about is, yes, this movie does rewrite history in a way that makes P.T. Barnum much more likable and sympathetic than I'm sure he was in real life. For the man who was infamous for the phrase, "there's a sucker born every minute," he's depicted in not only the trailers, but in this movie as being more of an advocate for the downtrodden, which I'm sure that at some point in his life that he was, but I wanted the movie to not shy away from the darker, more businessman tunnel vision P.T. Barnum that I'm sure that the man actually was. There were moments in Hugh Jackman's performance where you saw him imbue some pretty shady and slimy character moments. Like there was actually a scene where the performers in his circus wanted to come to this very fancy reception party, and he literally shut the door in their face and told them not to come in. And that was pretty messed up. But the way that the movie ends with him just sort of passing the baton over to the next person and him moving on with his life is, it kind of, I mean, while it was a beautiful ending, when I was leaving the theater and thinking about it in retrospect, it did kind of bother me a little bit. I was just thinking, as someone who is an aspiring screenwriter, why would you make a movie based on a true story and not tell the full, authentic version? I mean, you can have an unlikable protagonist if you make the story worthwhile. And while Hugh Jackman's giving his all in a great performance, it's the script that weakens his character. The second major problem that I have is that I don't think that it was a fully good idea to go full modern contemporary with the score. There are movies that I have loved over the years, like Moulin Rouge and The Great Gatsby, both actually directed by Baz Luhrmann, that incorporate modern contemporary music in what is otherwise a period piece. Moulin Rouge is set in the late early 1900s, just like The Greatest Showman, and The Great Gatsby set in the 1920s. But while Moulin Rouge was a jukebox musical and The Great Gatsby was a non-musical that had modern music in its soundtrack, this was a movie musical that was a period piece that featured modern contemporary songs. And don't get me wrong, Pasek and Paul are very talented. Their music for me had been a bit of a mixed bag. I thought that A Christmas Story, when I watched it live, was charming, and La La Land left so much to be desired from its music, which was the most disappointing part of that whole film. This movie, I would say, was more of a 60-40, 70-30 toss-up for good music versus forgettable bad music. But the songs I really enjoyed. The opening number, The Greatest Showman, or The Greatest Show, excuse me, was fantastic. Never Enough was a really great song, which Rebecca Ferguson's character, who is an opera singer, sings, even though unfortunately that is not her actual voice. She was dubbed by a woman by the name of Lauren Allred, and I'm going to be making a separate video talking about dubbing in movie musicals, so we'll put a pin in that and we'll come back to that later. But This Is Me, which is the big anthem of the movie, was fantastic. And Rewrite the Stars is such a beautiful love ballad between Zac Efron and Zendaya, which why it disappointed and bothered me tremendously that their love story got backseated to the A-plot. Like, there was not enough, or I felt that there was so much missing from what otherwise would have been a much better love story. Like, if they had just fleshed out the characters a little bit more, we could have gotten a full-on better story. But aside from a lackluster script and some hit-or-miss choices with the direction and some of the music, overall, I really loved The Greatest Showman. I definitely enjoyed it. It's definitely in my top 10 favorite movies of the year, and I can't recommend this movie enough. If you're a fan of musical theater, if you love movie musicals, if you're a fan of anybody in the cast, which, by the way, the standout performers for me were obviously Hugh Jackman, but Zac Efron, Michelle Williams, who does a fabulous job in this movie, and Keala Settle as the bearded woman, so good. But overall, I would give The Greatest Showman an A- grade for it, and it's a dazzling, beautiful spectacle to watch, and I can't recommend it enough. So I hope that you all enjoyed it. Be sure to give this video a big thumbs up. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell icon for notifications. My links to social media are in the description down below, and I will see you next time.